Alrighty, so not necessarily like an official sort of like news update or anything like that, but we have kind of been seeing some leaks and sort of information kind of trickle out from the leak side of the community about LR Gloxinia, which is really, really cool. I'm really happy that they're going to give a Ten Commandments character an LR, and I've been kind of, keeping my eye on it. There hasn't really been anything like officially teased or anything. We were thinking that we were going to get the information on it this week. They were supposed to, release a new Heroes Arena season this week on JP, which it should have came out today as the time I'm recording this. I'll probably upload it tomorrow. But yeah, we should have actually seen that, come out today, and then the LR should have came out with it. So for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, but it seems like they've either delayed it by a week or who knows how long. Obviously, they haven't tried to do any sort of teasers or anything for this LR just yet. But we do pretty much have like solid confirmation that it's going to be, Gloxinia. It is the green one, by the way, if you don't know, which is pretty interesting. We do have a little screenshot here from the KR side of things. You can see this little text right here that says LR. And then we actually have the full kit already data mined. I'm assuming it's in the newest update for JP. They just, for some reason, didn't decide to release the character this week. I'm not really sure why. But I'm not really happy about that. I think more than anything, it kind of concerns me that they're not being strict enough with their sort of like release of the LR characters, because like they're giving us a lot more LR seals lately, which is great. I'm not complaining at that at all. But with that being the case, and I understand that a lot of them are probably going towards True Awakening and stuff like that for some players, but we only get an LR character like every 2 months, maybe a little bit longer or a little bit shorter depending on how long the Labyrinth season lasts. But the fact that they didn't release it as soon as this new season started is really disappointing to me. Like I'm already at 200 LR seals, so whenever the new season comes out, I'm not even worried about working on my True Awakening or anything at the moment. I'm trying to finish my box first before I move on to True Awakening, because honestly, True Awakening isn't like the craziest upgrade to me. It's not worth so many of these SA coins and stuff like that, whereas I'm really close to finishing the box, so that's just my priority. Obviously, that's a me problem, but the fact that I'm already at 200 LR seals means that I can't get any of the seals out of the Heroes Arena until they release a new LR, which is not the week that it comes out for whatever reason, so I'm just going to have to buy a bunch of other stuff in the shop, I guess, with my first week's stuff, or I'll just have to save it. I guess I could always save it, but I don't know. I'm so used to them releasing one as soon as the season comes out. It's a little disappointing to see, but we do have the actual kit itself right here, and it is, if you don't know, I guess I can pull up the old Gloxinia sort of like kit as well, so you can see what has sort of changed. But it's this Gloxinia is pretty bad. Like, he's always been sort of not a character anybody has ever used. The red one actually is kind of interesting with the blockade skill and stuff like that. But so let's read over the skills. He basically has an AoE. No, this is a single target bleed. Yeah, it's a single target the whole time. I actually thought that this was an AoE skill the whole time, but no, this is a single target bleed skill. And then he has an AoE skill that disables attack skills, so it's an attack seals card. And then his ultimate has Ruin on it, which means that it does 30% more damage per debuff on the enemy, which is kind of cool. But Ruin does remove the debuffs on the character, so Ruin skills can be kind of hit or miss. And then the passive is pretty lackluster. Increases the hero's defense-related stats by 5% for every ally that's alive on the field. Increases attack-related stats by 5% when an ally dies. So it's kind of like this, back and forth kind of thing. 5% is obviously abysmal. This has never really been worth using. So the fact that we're getting like an updated version is really, really cool. So if we look at, I think it's this right here. Yeah, so the updated passive is increases the allies' defense-related stats by 30% for every ally on the field, which means that if you're, using PvP or whatever, that's going to be a 90% defense-related stats increase, which is really good. Like, that's going to make you super tanky. If you're in, like, Heroes Arena or something like that, where you have 4 characters on the field at one time, that's 120% defense-related stats, which is wild. Increases allies' attack-related stats by 40% when an ally dies. So obviously, 40% is pretty insane. And with the way the meta is and everything, it's pretty easy for people to sort of like kill a character turn 1. Or even turn 2 sometimes, depending on like the setup that your team sort of takes. But 40% is crazy. That's a lot. So he is going to be kind of a menace, I think. Like really, really supporty, of course, but really, really cool in my opinion. Reduces enemies' critical chance by 30% and critical damage by 40% if bleed is applied. And that's, noteworthy, of course, because we do have a bleed skill on him, which this is a single target bleed skill. I'm sure that there are other characters that you can pair with him, namely, like you could pair any of the OG like small wing kings, the either the Jelly King or the regular king. I'm pretty sure his Holy Relic makes it to where when you use like an AoE skill or something, it applies bleed to the enemy. So that's immediately like going to apply the critical chance or crit chance and crit damage lower on the enemy because they have a bleed stack on. It really makes me want to use Shaltir. Shaltir has the infect bleed skill, or it's an infect skill that applies bleed from her passive. Which obviously would work too, and plus you need bleed and stuff like that if you want to get extra use out of Shaltir's stuff. So using her AoE to get the crit chance lower or whatever, and then maybe if they cleanse it off or something, you can use Gloxinia's single target to hit them with a bleed, and then follow up with the single target card from Shaltir. I can't remember what the name of that card or the effect that it has on is, but that could be really, really cool. The other skill is the AoE one, and instead of it just being an attack seal, it's actually going to disable buff skills too, which is good because obviously if you're going up against angels and stuff like that, you don't want them to be able to cleanse with Margaret's buff or anything like that, which is cool, or even I guess maybe like LR Liz could cleanse as well, but I don't think you're going to run into that as much. So that's really, really neat, actually. The ultimate does get changed, of course, as well. Applies a debuff that decreases all stats by 30% for 2 turns to all enemies, and then inflicts ruin damage to 1 enemy. So it's still a single target, but kind of like with Margaret's skill, where it got reworked to where it puts a damage taken increase on all of the enemies, and then you hit them with the single target. This is going to decrease every enemy's all stats, and then you're going to hit them with the ruin skill, which is cool, because, I mean, the ruin skill, if you've put enough debuffs on them and stuff in general, which you could run like Green Gloxinia Link or something like that, that could be really cool. And then, you hit them, however many debuffs they have on them, you're doing 30% more damage per debuff, on top of the fact that they had their all stats lowered, which I don't know exactly how that works as far as like if you hit that person, does the all stat reduction immediately get taken away and then you do the 30% more because you remove the all stats, or are their all stats going to be removed or like lowered and you still do 30% more because you remove the all stats? Like, I don't know exactly how the order of operations works there, but pretty crazy actually, considering he was like one of the worst characters in the game, like absolutely just ass, just so bad, and now he actually looks like he's going to be a really cool support. Also really cool that he's not necessarily locked down to anything. They don't have like any sort of specific allies or anything that you have to run him with, so obviously it would be really cool to run him with fairies and stuff like that, but he's not locked down, which is good considering that fairies really don't get very much support. They have several Elaines and Kings, of course, but the only other fairies that we either have is like Garrod and Helbram. I don't even think that there's any other fairies unless I'm just missing somebody. Obviously, there might be some opportunities for new fairies and stuff like that in the 4 Nights content, but making this an all-around kind of unit, like you can use them with anybody, is great. That's honestly, fantastic. So that's looking really, really cool. Moving past the leak stuff, somebody did post the Heroes Arena teams, which this is the Masters teams, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, definitely point it out to me, let me know if it is different for each rank, but I'm pretty sure the teams are the same for every difficulty. It's just, they just get more CC and stuff like that in the higher difficulties, but I was really scared that the next season of Heroes Arena was going to have Albedo like absolutely destroying everybody. Albedo's actually not in here at all. People have already sort of commented in Reddit in general saying that, oh no, we have 3 tier teams, and we had 3 tier teams last time as well, so I'm not really as worried about that. And I understand that tier's really annoying, and it seems like all of the tier teams that they're running have Ragnarok Deanne, which means that he's going to have a damage cap. So that could be really, really rough. But honestly, with the amount of LR seals that they've been giving out more recently, and, we hopefully, if you haven't been going crazy with True Awakening, you probably already have enough for you've either already caught up to have all of the current LRs, or you're ready to make another one, hopefully. You might be able to go ahead and get Gloxinia whenever he drops, if you're looking for him. And not have to worry too much about sweating on the higher difficulties. I honestly think, we'll have to see, because obviously we've been in the middle of a bunch of festivals and stuff where they do drop more, events and everything, which are where they're kind of giving out these LR seals. But if they keep doing that kind of going forward with every week or every other week or whatever with an event, they give out a couple of LR seals here and there, then I don't think you're going to have to worry too much about absolutely grinding hard trying to beat the highest difficulty you can manage, because you'll be able to get some LR seals in some other ways as well. And honestly, with the Labyrinth giving out 50 LR seals this most recent time, if they continue that trend as well, that's half of an LR right there. And even if you're doing one of the lower difficulties, hopefully you can get the other 50 LR seals you need on top of any sort of events that they do, which I don't know. We'll obviously have to see. That's just me speculating, of course. I don't know how much they're going to plan on actually giving out each time they do an event, if any. But the teams actually don't look too bad. They do have some LR Margaret here. You've got LR Liz on this one. Some of that stuff is kind of concerning. And I think I saw a screenshot on Twitter earlier of I think it was Awakened Roxy had some pretty crazy stats. I'm not sure. It's probably one of these teams if I had to guess, because they do tend to use a catastrophe team, which it looks like the first and third team are actually using the Halloween Roxy, which is kind of funny. So there's only one Awakened Roxy from what I can tell, unless I'm just missing or skipping over it. But we do have an LR Escanor team here, a full human team, which is kind of interesting. That could be kind of annoying. Obviously, I think the best way to go about Heroes Arena now is just kind of do whatever difficulty you can sort of out CC, because it's some of doing the higher difficulties and stressing so hard about trying to do Challenger, for example, on my end. Sometimes it's not worth the trouble that it would be to get those extra rewards and stuff like that. And especially if they're gonna be giving out more rewards and everything like that, more LR seals. I'm not as worried. Obviously, you can catch up and stuff like that and get a little bit more caught up and stay on top, I guess, if you can do the top stuff. But this game mode can be really, really annoying, so I'm not going to blame anybody for just doing a lower difficulty just to get it over with, just to get whatever rewards they can, not stressing out over really pushing boundaries on difficulty-wise. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff to kind of go over. Obviously, it's a dead week. I was really expecting LR Glox to come out this week on JP, so we could at least do some interesting sort of prep or something like that, which obviously I would not personally waste a whole bunch of materials right now if you don't, or until they officially release it. I tried not to over prep for stuff. I have been working on the box already and stuff like that, so I do already have the Green Glox sort of maxed out. But as a free to play, you have to be way more picky with your materials and stuff, which is understandable. So unless you're just 100% all in, ready for this character to drop, I probably wouldn't over invest at the moment. We should be getting a new Shin sometime in the next patch as well, if I'm not mistaken. At least the patch on JP and KR, not global. We still have to get the Heroes Arena, or the week 4 patch for the festival. So we're still 2 weeks away from even getting a new banner, but should be a new Shin sometime soon. It's supposed to be a step up banner, which could be kind of cool. And then on top of that, there might be a collaboration sometime in the next little while as well. There has been a lot of speculation on that. There was leaks about a Tower of God collab not too long ago, but I don't know. We'll have to see when that actually plans on dropping, because I think normally they do a collaboration in April. That's the earliest they do a collaboration for each year. But I did see somebody say that the Tower of God game that is owned by Netmarble also, I think they're planning on doing their half anniversary or something sometime in at the end of January, maybe. So I'm not 100% sure if they're trying to align that where we get a collab around their festival sort of time period or what. But we'll just have to see how things go. I'm at the moment, because of the collab kind of being speculated 4 new characters is obviously really, annoying to prep for, so I've kind of put box, improvements on hold for the moment. So I'm going to save up all my SA coins and all of my pendants and stuff like that, so I can make sure that I can max out those characters whenever they end up dropping. Because, when you're used to 1 character every 2 weeks, 4 characters at one time can be quite a hassle. So either way, I'm just going to keep hoarding my mats for the moment. I'm not going to work on anything too crazy. Hopefully this was sort of helpful, insightful in some way. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions of the new Glox are, because I actually think that he's looking pretty sick. I'm very excited. I'm very happy that they're kind of doing a little bit more, or they're starting to maybe move into 10 Commandments. Obviously, it's anybody's guess who they pick for an LR at this point, because they went from Sins to Margaret, who's a goddess unit, all the way to Glox, which is a 10 Commandment. So looking forward to more 10 Commandment reworks maybe, but we'll have to see who ends up becoming next, I guess. But either way, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe. If you have any team suggestions or anything you want me to try out this week with the new King maybe, or anything, feel free to let me know. I'll be sure to give it a shot. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.